Good morning. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. We are here in the mountains of United Arab Emirates, and particularly in the western part. And we are witnessing today the solar eclipse, the partial annular solar eclipse of 2020. It's a spectacular view here, and we are fully set up trying to capture all the details about this magnificent live phenomena, live here with Manarat Saadiyat and Nikum Middle East. My name is Samy Olabi, Astro-photographer based in United Arab Emirates. We are all excited to witness such great view, and we are very lucky actually here in the United Arab Emirates, because the solar eclipse, we had two solar eclipses in a very close period of time. On 26th of December, we almost had a full annular eclipse from Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and from the southern part of Liwa, it was a full annular eclipse. Today we have a partial one, which is almost around 87 or 86%, which is still a spectacular view. We are here trying to be as safe as possible, using all the safety precautions, all the filters, and all the goggles for such beautiful scene. I have my setup here in both cameras, and the full team is enjoying the show, and I hope you are all enjoying the show. Just a reminder, and we'll keep on repeating this same remark every while and then: please do not attempt to look at the sun directly without any kind of safety certified viewing and glasses, filters, or things like that. Please do not attempt to do it, or there will be a permanent damage to your eyes. Just enjoy the show. Put on your proper glasses, like this one, a certified one. You put it on your face and you enjoy the beautiful scene. As we can see now, the eclipse is almost started like 10 minutes ago. A beautiful scene. The sun is starting to be eclipsed by the moon from the upper right corner, and usually the eclipse is happening because the moon is directly on a straight line with the sun and the earth, and the moon in between. And the reason behind the annular, which is a bit smaller than the disk of the sun, because the orbit of the moon around the sun is elliptical, so sometimes it is close to earth and sometimes it is far from earth. So at that moment it's a bit the distance, the apparent size of the moon, and the size is less than the apparent size of the sun, and that's why it's called annular eclipse. In some cases, like for example in the end of 2020 in the Southern America continent, there will be a total solar eclipse with the full disk covered by the moon. Still, the 87% of the annular eclipse is a spectacular view and a rare view to witness here in the United Arab Emirates. If the camera can get close enough to see the shooting. Can we get a scene on the cameras, guys, so can everybody enjoy the scene with us? So in preparation for such event, it's like a month ahead of time. We're preparing for such event to make sure that we are on the right location and the right time without missing that phenomena, which is a very rare phenomena. We start by planning properly our location. There are lots of softwares and websites which can give us a proper scientific calculation of our location and how the sun will look in terms of eclipse from that specific location. We have scouted many areas in the United Arab Emirates, and we have balanced the equation to try as much as possible to get a good view of the eclipse, at the same time to get a good view of the nature itself. The most important things about such phenomena, it gets us close to nature more and more. As we can see now, can we see it? So now the sun, my camera is shooting a time lapse. I'm trying to record the full phases of the eclipse from the moment it started at 8:14, and the real show will start at around 9:15, where the maximum partial eclipse will happen from the location that we are in. What a view. If you try to realize and try to see this eclipse from a 3D dimension point of view, you will feel that the moon, a spherical shape, the companion of the earth, passing in front of the disk of the sun, and it's really magnificent. You can sometimes you don't have words to say and to express the feelings that you are feeling while watching such beautiful phenomena. Subhanallah, this is really one of the major ayat from God subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's a pure astronomical phenomena. It does not happen because of anything but astronomy, and it's happening almost on a periodic basis every year or so in certain periods of the earth. The only thing that it's rare about it, that it does not happen in the same country and the same location more oftenly. So that's why we are in a very unique occasion, and we are very lucky that we had 2 eclipses in the course of 7 months, and the next time we will have such degree of eclipse, it will be after tens of years. So that's why this view is really rare and magnificent. I saw many colleagues are trying to prepare for such event and trying to get ready, and the UAE is having lots of astronomers and astrophotographers. They are all interested in such things, and that's really a beautiful thing to see here in the country. There is a lot of encouragement about science, and the whole direction now is moving into space and moving into photography and astronomy, and it's encouraging all people to try to get more knowledge about such beautiful phenomena, especially after the recent activities, extreme activities that UAE is trying now to reach for the Mars and reach for the sky, and we are all very happy and proud about it, and such encouragement is really giving people a lot of chances. I really would like to thank Manarat Saadiyat for encompassing such event, and we promise that there will be lots of things like that in the future. There will be more and more coverage of such scientific and artistic and photographic events. I'm really thrilled about it, and we will just continue footage of around 2.5 hours, 3 hours throughout the whole phases of the eclipse. Every now and then you will see some precautions, you will see behind the scenes, you will see some interesting footage, so stay tuned. We will show you some behind the scene and footage from the previous eclipse. We will show you also some of the winning shots that was taken from the United Arab Emirates and was featured on NASA and international entities. Such footage, stay tuned, you will be seeing it throughout the 2.5 hours, and I want you to get excited about it, and don't forget to use your glasses, please. A strange thing happens usually during eclipses. There is a bit of change in lighting that we will witness, especially at the peak hours of the eclipse. And the thing that I can never forget is I saw a certain gradient of color which is somehow close to sunset or sunrise, but in a very different way. So eclipse really is a very strange phenomena and a thing to watch. We will be witnessing such darkness. It's not a full darkness, but we will witness a strange darkness as if it's going through a sunset or sunrise in about 30 to 45 minutes. It will be a magnificent view, so stay tuned. هلا بالنسبه لتصوير الكسوف في نوعين من التصوير. في التصوير التوثيقي، واحنا بنحاول نستخدم عدسه سوبر زوم او سوبر تيليفوتو لتصور قرص الشمس اثناء الحدث نفسه، اثناء الكسف من القمر. وفي نوع ثاني من التصوير بيكون ارتستيك فوتوغرافي، بنحاول ان احنا ناخد فور جراوندز وبناخد بعض الاوبجكتس اليونيك مع القرص الشمس هو عم بيصير معه الحادث الكسوف المعهود. فهذا النوع الثاني من التصوير بيكون غير توثيقي، بيكون ارتستيك وبيكون من النوع اللي هو فيه فكره او فيه رساله معينه. شفنا كذا صوره في الكسوفات الماضيه لجمال او احصنه او ابراج او لاند ماركس ماخوذه مع هذا الكسوف، وكانت شغله جميله جدا وبديعه.
يعني بهالطريقه هيدي هون بنكسر النمطيه نحن
بالضبط. يعني هلا الانسان لازم يفكر بحيث انه هو يكسر النمطيه اللي موجوده. في توثيق وهو جميل ومهم جدا كتوثيق علمي وتوثيق فوتوغرافي، وبيطلع منه كمان ابداعات فوتوغرافيه انك انت تطلع كل مراحل الشمس في لقطه واحده. وفي التوثيق اللي هو بيكون الارتستيك. احنا اليوم عم نحاول ناخذ جميع انواع التوثيقات اللي مثل هي والارتستيك فيوز. معنا 3 كاميرات عم تصور، عم نحاول باذن الله نطلب من الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق ونحن نطلع باكبر فوتج ونتوفق بالمهمه تبعنا ان شاء الله.
طب في معدات مخصصه لهالتصوير هذا؟
هذا سؤال جميل جدا. احنا عندنا شغله مهمه جدا في التصوير الفلكي، يكون معنا متتبع لحركه الاجرام السماويه. فعندنا مثل الاجهزه اللي موجوده قدامنا هي هو بيكون تراكر او بسموه ماونت. هو كل القصه فيه انه هو بيحاكي دوران الارض، سرعه دوران الارض، فبيلغيها. فالمحاكاه لسرعه دوران الارض بتخلي القدره على تتبع الاجرام السماويه سهل جدا، وبيخلي الابداعات وبيخلي التركيز كله يكون على كيفيه الخروج بافضل صوره وبافضل فكره. ولكن بدون هذا الجهاز حيكون من الصعب يكاد من المستحيل ان احنا نصور عمليه الكسوف كلها من اولها لغايه اخرها.
شو بتحب انت تحكي تضيف؟
هلا احنا يعني اهم شيء في الايفنتس مثل هاي وبالذات الكسوف الشمسي لازم توخي الحذر وتوخي البريكوشنز. لازم يكون معنا سيرتيفايد جلاسز يكونوا على قدر كبير جدا من الحجب للضوء عشان ما يصير اي دمج للقرنيه. الفكره كلها ان النظر في الشمس في اي وقت ممكن يأذي العين. اللي بيصير وقت الكسوف ان الناس بيكون عندها فضول، والفضول هذا بيخليهم بيحاولوا يشوفوا كيف الكسوف، وهذا اللي بيخليهم يقعدوا اكثر من 10 ثواني او 15 ثانيه عم بيحاولوا يطلعوا على الكسوف. وبالحاله هاي للاسف الشديد ممكن يصير بيرمننت دمج على العين. فنسال الجميع ارجوكم توخي الحذر، ما تحاولوا ابدا تطلعوا على الشمس بدون استخدام المعدات والتولز السيرتيفايد. ونفس الكلام مع الكاميرات. الكاميرا ممكن تحترق تماما، السنسور تبعها كله يسيح اذا ما كان في بروبر فلترنج لحجب ضوء الشمس ومحاوله انه ياخذ كل مراحل الكسوف بشكل جميل.
يعطيكم العافيه.
الله يعافيك.
ممتاز.
اوكي.
بعد شيء بدك تقول؟
لا تمام.
كنت بدي ارجع اسالك عن السؤال رجعت انت قلته.
فيني مثلا احكي مثلا اشكر الهيئات اللي عم تشجع على مواضيع مثل هي مثلا، بيكون كويس هذا. ان هي شغله بصراحه
كمصورين.
ايه
شغل. يلا
استاذ معلش عم تتحرك كثير.
ايه انا اسف.
خفف لنا الانجليزي شوي.
ايه حاضر، ما شو اعمل هيك يعني.
صباحتنا
شوف المايك مايك.
ايوه ايوه، السلام عليكم.
تفضل.
شغله اخيره حابب اذكرها، وشغله مهمه جدا، وهو تشجيع الدوله على مثل هذه الايفنتس، مثل هذه الفعاليات. هيئات كثير في الدوله بتشجع المصورين وبتشجع الفلكيين ان هم ياخذوا كل حريتهم وياخذوا كل استعداداتهم وطاقاتهم، وبيصير كمان الاكثر من هيك، مش مجرد بس الموضوع هذا، بيصير في دعم كبير بتيم بيساعد المصورين ان هم يظهروا باعمالهم امام العالميه. فانا اشكر الصراحه كل الجهات وخصوصا مناره السعديات على استضافتهم لمثل هذا الايفنت ونيكم ميدل ايست. اكيد بلا شك التشجيع مثل هاي الامور بيخلي دائما في تقدم بمجتمعنا العربي وبشعوبنا العربيه تجاه التصوير والثقافه والفلك والفن. This time the eclipse is longer in period than last time in December, despite the fact that December eclipse was having a more or a higher percentage, but the sun was eclipsed before the sunrise. So below horizon the eclipse started. Today the eclipse started high in the sky at around 30 to 40 degrees at 8:14 a.m. and then it's peaking now, moving to the peak of the eclipse at around 9:15, and then gradually the moon will start to departure from the solar disk, apparently of course, and gradually it will slide away from the disk until it's fully out of the solar disk at around 11:15. So we are talking total about 3 hours. So it's a really magnificent view. Stay tuned because the upcoming 40 and 30 minutes are the best parts of the show. Important notice, always hydrate guys. Today is actually the summer solstice, الانقلاب الصيفي, and it's the longest day of the year, and it is officially the first day of summer today. So we are having actually 3 phenomena happening today, which is the summer solstice and the eclipse and the new moon, of course, because always eclipse is coming with a new moon. So we are now back, and we are almost close to the peak of the partial annular solar eclipse event coverage with Manarat Saadiyat and Nikum Middle East, and with you, Samy العلبي, from the land of the United Arab Emirates, in a beautiful place, a natural place among the land of the United Arab Emirates. The moon eclipsed now almost 60% of the solar disk, and we are close to the full or the maximum phase of the partial eclipse. There are some photographic knowledge I would like to share with you regarding whoever is shooting this right now. We will start and talk about the photographic knowledge that will enable you to shoot such phase or such phenomena by using the proper equipment. So let's start first by saying about and talking about the planning. The planning phase is the most important phase in any photographic project or any photographic session, and especially if we are talking about an astronomical event like that, there is no chance for any mistake, so we have to properly plan our shot. So we are not just talking about photographers doing photographic knowledge, we need to be aware about all aspects of photography from all areas and sides. So planning phase is a very important phase for such astronomical event. The most important thing is to use the right tool. Don't overwhelm yourself with many tools. Try as much as possible to limit yourself with the 1 or 2 pieces of equipment equipped with the proper filtering, and try as much as possible to be aware about the locations. You don't have to be at the peak location. That's not only the factor in the astrophotography events. You have also to take into consideration many other aspects like the nature around you, the ideas that you want to compose with, and also the coverage. If you are willing to broadcast your footage, you have to make sure that you are in a proper covered area. So there are many aspects to deal with in terms of planning. The other thing, there are lots of applications, there are lots of websites and groups and entities which can give you information about the timing. You can easily download on your iPhone or your Android or any kind of smartphone that you have, which will help you do proper planning. I think you saw lots of bumpers every while and then showing what kind of planning that we have to take into consideration. So that's the first aspect. Stay tuned, guys, and let's go with this bumper, and we will be back with more exciting knowledge about this beautiful event. So stay tuned. So we are watching this magnificent phenomena, and I hope you guys are there taking photos, and whoever is not taking the photo is enjoying the scene. We talked about planning. I will give you a live example about planning. We have prepared for this with Manarat, Saadiyat and Nikon from about a month time. We have put many locations that we can consider as a good location for shooting such phenomena. We've taken many considerations. We have balanced the perfect recipe until we come up with this beautiful location among the nature. A natural phenomena is best located in the nature. So we're trying as much as possible to bring out such beauty. So one of the things that we have also planned, we have ordered our equipment and filters in advance. We don't leave it up to the last moment, and that's actually an issue that maybe some photographers have witnessed, because there's a lot of demand on such tools and filters. So we have to be well prepared in advance and to order such equipment and filters at least 3 weeks ahead of the event. One of the things that you have to make sure also that you are equipped with batteries. We are technically in a very raw nature, and such phenomena last for 2 hours, 3 hours, and we have to make sure that we are equipped with full power and batteries to cope up with the photographic session that we are doing. So I personally got 5 batteries, external powers, and a generator, just to make sure that everything will go right, inshallah. So taking consideration in power is very important. And every while and then I'm looking and to see in which phase we are. So it's 9:16. We are exactly 20 minutes away from the peak, which is going to happen at 9:36. 9:36. The perfect show is starting from about 15 minutes at 9 almost, and now we are getting close to the peak of the solar eclipse. So we talked about planning. There's a lot of aspects regarding planning, and I repeat and repeat again that safety is the most important aspect in planning. So we have taken all the precautions with Manarat, Saadiyat and Nikon, and we have purchased all such simple tools that will help us stay safe and watch such magnificent phenomena. One of the other things that you have to take into consideration while planning is the right equipment. You have to choose the right camera and the right lens for such event. Usually there are 2 types of photography when dealing with eclipses. Either you are capturing or documenting the solar eclipse, and you will need a telephoto lens like that, a super telephoto. We are talking about a minimum 300 mm or 200 mm, going as up as possible to 600, 800. With some teleconverters, you can even reach to 1000 plus mm. the farther or the closer you will get to the sun, the clearer the view and the details will be. So choosing the right equipment, the right lens, and back to the second main aspect, which is the camera. I'm recommending that we choose a powerful camera to withstand such long hours shooting in such circumstances, in such heat. We are almost in like 40 degrees or a little bit less. So we have to be equipped with proper, strong equipment that will can bear and can take this phenomena and all the experience with you without failing you. So we talked about batteries, we talked about equipment. You have to be equipped with timers, so we can leave the camera shooting while you are doing something else which can be useful. Use other cameras as we can see around us. The other thing, which is an optional equipment, but it is very important in astronomy, which is the tracking mount. As we can see, we are equipped with certain tracking mounts. The idea behind such devices, it imitates the rotation of Earth around its axis. So in other way, it is fixing the astronomy objects, and you can easily track it and expose for it, and you can enjoy the show rather than distracting yourself of trying to know where is the sun and where shall I sit or what shall I do. So such devices, despite the fact that they are optional, but they help astrophotographers and scientists and enthusiasts in trying to capture the best footage out of their camera. So it's supporting equipment that the camera is mounted on it, and we can shoot and see the footage of the eclipse. There are two types of footage, as we said. There is the documenting side of the story, which is using the super telephoto lenses, and there are some other artistic scenes that you might take with the solar eclipse, like some time lapses with a wide angle or a medium zoom lens like 70 or 100, 200. This will enable you to take the disk of the sun with some features in the nature around you, and that will drive the imagination and the creativity among photographers to try to get new ideas. So both aspects we are trying to cover today, and we have tried to help many photographers throughout the last 3 weeks in giving them ideas and guiding about where to stand and what kind of equipment to use and where is the best location where they can get creative ideas. We have launched with Manarat, Saadiyat and Nikon some footage and some information on websites that will enable and inspire photographers to take ideas. So that's the kind of things that we call it in Arabic التغذية البصرية. This is a very important aspect of feeding your eyes with imagination and ideas, which will run your creativity and boost it. And psychologically, indirectly, you will feel later on that you are overwhelmed with ideas and you want to get those ideas into action. So those are the two types of photography. We talked about the equipment. I will leave you with some footage while we get ready for the peak of the solar eclipse. So stay tuned, guys. We can notice now that the area around us, the lighting has dramatically changed, and subhanallah, it is a really magnificent effect that's happening right now. It's very strange. You can never say it's a sunset or a sunrise. The light is dimmed in a very strange, peculiar way, and now in exactly around 6 minutes we will be seeing the eclipse in its peak, around 87% an annular eclipse. I cannot really express the feelings that we are having right now. It's magnificent. It's a very strange phenomena, and the moon that we are always accustomed by seeing, it's eclipsing the sun, which is great in all its power and heat, and there is a noticeable drop in temperature we are all feeling and witnessing right now, and there's a drop in the lighting. I'm really very excited about it, and we are here with the team of Manarat, Saadiyat and Nikon and my personal team, and we are really very excited about the circumstances and this beautiful experience. Subhanallah, it is really magnificent. I was tempted to look at the sun without the glasses, so we have always to be careful not to look at the sun by all means without proper equipment. We are having all our cameras shooting. I'm having a second camera here shooting the Eclipse on a small mount, equipped also with a solar filter, and it's taking a time lapse. And I'm having a third camera taking a general wide time lapse with day settings, so no need for a solar filter for such time lapse. As we can see, I don't know if you can see it or you can feel it, but the mood is very strange and it's overwhelming in this beautiful location. I'm really thrilled, and I'm hoping that you are enjoying such event. I want you to stay tuned and look at all the footage the best possible way. Our team and cameramen are trying to capture this footage and broadcasting such footage to you. Let's look again at my viewfinder and my screen in the live view mode. Subhanallah, it's really magnificent. We are almost at the peak. It is magnificent. We will be back. We will leave you some footage. We will be back soon. So we are now in the peak of this beautiful eclipse. Magnificent view we are watching right now in our live feed. This is Samy Olabi from the mountains of Shawka, United Arab Emirates, in collaboration with Manarat Saadiyat and Nikon Middle East. I'm really glad that we are witnessing such footage and such phenomena. Exactly now we are in the peak of the eclipse, and as you can see, the eclipse is at its peak. I hope you will see the broadcast from my camera. Our cameraman will get closer to show you the peak stage of such eclipse. While we are watching such beautiful footage and beautiful stage, let me talk to you about things related to such event. We talked about planning and how to choose the right equipment, the right timing, the location, proper knowledge about all such astronomical events by subscribing to all the international astronomical entities to get well ahead of the game with planning for such event and getting your filters ready. So we talked about the planning and the precautions. Precautions is very important. We have taken all the considerations, and we are urging everybody right now, do not attempt to watch the solar eclipse without any kind of proper glasses, eclipse glasses, and so for your filters as well for your cameras. The next aspect we talked about is choosing the focal length and the camera. Let's talk now about a very important aspect, which is the settings, camera settings. I will show you now live what kind of settings I am using. Of course, the solar eclipse is blocking lots of light, as we can see, the sky itself, if we look at it in such without any filters, it's very bright and blue, but through the filter it's black, and this will enable us to properly get the details behind the sun, and this is very tricky in terms of getting the settings right. So what I'm trying to do right now is to try to reduce the ISO as much as possible. So I'm using ISO 160. The aperture is set to f6.3, despite the fact that I have an f4 lens, but I'm using a high aperture. I'm trying to keep the sweet spot of the aperture. I'm not trying to go on the extremes, because this will affect the quality of the image. And the shutter speed, as we can see, is 1/320. So that's the settings we are using. Settings are very important in photography. We have to make sure that our settings are matching our filters, and that's a tricky part of the Eclipse. Shooting any kind of photographic project or phenomena, it's very important to get prepared in terms of settings. When you get properly prepared and you know, you do your math and you do your science, and you know well ahead of the game how much exactly is the exposure time that you will be using and the aperture, you will focus on other aspects of the event, like enjoying it, for example, or trying to come with different ideas. We tried here a very unique idea. I don't know if it will be visible, but we have put a lighthouse over that mountain. And lighthouse, by the way, in Arabic is called Manarat, and it's in coincidence, despite the fact that we are hosted by Manarat Saadiyat, but I have a thing for such lighthouses. So I brought a lighthouse, and close to the dawn, I climbed this mountain and put this lighthouse above it, trying to capture a scene with the sun being eclipsed around this lighthouse. So back again to settings. Let me again review with you the settings I'm using right now. Low ISO. Logically speaking, since we are trying as much as possible to dim the light coming from the sun, I'm using a fast shutter speed. But in that case, because I'm using a filter, I'm not setting my shutter speed to 1/8000 or 1/4000. I'm using a 320 to get the perfect balanced exposure and a perfect histogram. And as you can see, such collaboration of settings. The other aspect is using a proper timer, so you can set the timer and you get your hands free doing something else and taking proper time lapses or shooting a consequence of photos while you are trying to witness such glorious phenomena. If there is any kind of questions, I'll be happy to respond to. So please, if you have any questions, guys, give us your questions and we'll be happy and glad to respond back to you. Our team here will notify us of any kind of questions, so please tell us about it and we are ready to answer your questions. It's 9:42 now, and as we can see, the lunar disk is rotating and going slowly out from the solar disk in a different direction than the entrance. Magnificent. And this kind of dancing between the sun and the moon is really very nice. So I want to see your questions, guys. I have one more camera there which is taking the time lapse. In the time lapse it's a bit different because I'm not using the filters. I'm using wide angle, so it's taking the extreme and peaks of the camera itself, so 1/4000, 1/8000, and it's happening. Do we have any questions? We tried to get your questions.
Someone is asking about the location.
We can say why we choose it.
So the location, Talal is asking about the location. The location is inside a beautiful valley which is called Wadi Shawka, and this beautiful valley is common among multiple emirates. You can find a part of Sharjah, a part of Ras Al Khaimah, and even a part of Dubai very close by from here. These beautiful mountains are shared in this beautiful area, and this location is well known with less humidity, better landscapes, and beautiful phase of the solar eclipse itself. So I hope this is answering your question. There was another question from Ahmed Vakhar asking about what time the moon completely comes in front of the sun. Actually, Ahmed, it's happening right now, and it's starting now to leave the peak. Only a few minutes away, 10 minutes away was the peak. So while we are talking right now, we are in the peak, and it's gradually, slowly fading. Exactly, Shadi Al-Ghul is also confirming this fact that it's already leaving the solar disk right now. I'm really glad that everybody is enjoying such event. I hope we answered the question, Yusuf, regarding the camera settings, and I'll be shortly talking about it again and again until you are fully aware about such event. I want you guys to be creative as possible and shoot your best shot, and subscribe and tag your photos with our tag to have a chance to win in this competition. It's a symbolic appreciation of your subscription to that beautiful event. I want you to be creative as much as possible, and you will win one of those binoculars presented by Nikon and Manarat Saadiyat. The binoculars are in a very good optical quality, which will be a very good companion while you are going shooting nature, birds, or any kind of nature photography. Such binoculars will really be a second optical device in your hand that you can spend good time with and scout and watch the birds and do many beautiful things with it. We have picked some of the best optics from the first 3 prizes. I hope you like it, and I hope you all get the chance to win. Yusuf is saying that he couldn't get an ND filter. Let me just correct one fact, Mr. Yusuf. ND filter will block some of the rays, but it will not completely block the harmful rays of the sun. So you need a solar filter, not just an ND filter, because usually we use an ND filter with long exposure daylight photography, but we are not pointing directly at the sun. So using a solar filter is very important while pointing your device towards the sun, or else in few minutes the sensor will be melting and you will lose such thing. Now the degrees of the filter in terms of solar filters, it's almost equivalent to 17 ND. So, but it's not a purely ND filter as we speak about. It's much more than that. A solar filter is designed specifically to shoot against the sun. I'm seeing more questions. Yusuf is shooting with his 300 mm. Good luck, man. I hope you get good shots. So let me review again with you these settings. ISO as low as possible. The sweet spot is always between 100 and 200. The aperture, we always try to get the perfect recipe, and the sweet spot, which is between 5.6 to 8. And the exposure time is mainly depending on the filter that you are using. And without a filter, if you are shooting in daylight, you will be using a very fast shutter speed. And why now? Because you are using the ND filter or the solar filter, we are shooting against the sun, and we are using a fast shutter speed of 1/320. You can use 1/400 and plus minus such things. So we will leave you with some more footage and exciting things. Do we have a question?
Yes.
We have one question about the location and the degree of the filter. And there is another question now coming. Before we go to the break, yeah, the degree of the filter. We responded to that question, but quickly I will just say it again. We are using a solar filter, which is equivalent to 16 to 17 ND, which is the highest degree you can get in an ND, but it's not an ND, it's a solar filter blocking many harmful rays of the sun. So I hope this answers the question, and we will go with the break, and we will come back soon. How are we doing? تمام ولا ايه؟ أي اقتراحات يا أستاذ؟ في أي اقتراحات طيب؟ If you just focus a little bit while you're viewing this, you will feel the 3D depth of the moon in a spherical way, and the sun. It's really magnificent. You just get the perception and you will feel about it. What we will be doing now, we will be presenting some important information that might act like a guide for you. So we will be presenting some slides with some voiceover to guide you through the photography. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute with a very specific presentation about the photography of such phenomena. So what we are seeing here now is some ideas that were taken during the eclipse of December 2019. At that specific time, 6 months ago, the annular solar eclipse was happening during the sunrise, and we went to the empty quarter, as we saw multiple times during the bumpers, and we saw the location where we took such photos. As you can see, those are the phases of the eclipse throughout the whole process. And those are the slides we'll be talking about. The first thing, the types of the solar eclipses and what is a solar eclipse. Again and again, we're trying to demonstrate how is it happening. And as we can see, the moon is exactly in the middle between the sun and the earth. And because the moon is in elliptical orbit around the earth, so sometimes it's closer to Earth and sometimes it's farther. The average distance is around 400,000 kilometers, and plus and minus going from 350 to 400 plus. And that's why there is a supermoon, if we can notice about this phenomena also. And at that time, the disk of the moon is apparently bigger because it's closer to Earth. And if the eclipse happened at that stage, it might be bigger or exactly equal to the solar disk. But because the lunar eclipse happens, the lunar orbit also come sometimes far, you can see that it becomes apparently a bit less than the sun disk. Now, there is a very strange relationship between the distance of moon to earth and sun to earth compared to the sizes. It perfectly matches the same ratio. So the ratio between the moon size compared to the sun size is equal to the ratio of the distance between the moon and the earth and the sun and the earth. And this is, of course, is not a coincidence. It's a perfect work of a creator in a perfect harmony of this beautiful universe that we are living in. And the solar eclipse is a phenomena that is really very beautiful. This is another presentation of the solar eclipse and how it's happening, with some Arabic speaking text. And that's the phases of the annular solar eclipse. We are now in the phase where the lunar disk is leaving the sun and fading slightly and gradually. And that part is regarding the planning. We've talked about how we should be aware about the astronomical events. If you sign in to our channels, you will be always up to date with any astronomical events regarding the location where we are in Abu Dhabi and in the United Arab Emirates. There are calendars all over the internet where you can see the location and the timing, and you can get the paths and all the information that you need. If anybody is trying to shoot the eclipse from the Middle East, you can find in this slide the percentage of the eclipse in different cities among the Middle East. And as we can see, in United Arab Emirates and Oman and Yemen, it's almost the maximum, with the best luck for Oman for winning the 100% of the annular eclipse, or technically speaking, it's around 97%. In UAE, that's the phases, and now it's 10:11 a.m. and we are close to the roundup and the closure of such event. It's slowly, gradually fading away. Safety concerns. We never get tired of repeating such things because it might damage your eyes, God forbid, and it might damage your kit and your equipment. We talked about it and we will never get bored of talking about it more and more again, because safety of our audience and safety of your equipment is the most important thing. That's your assets, your site, and your camera. So keep both safe and do more photography. Regarding the settings, let's summarize it together. Again, we always shoot in manual mode. We use the live view screen mode, which facilitates our movement. We switch off any vibration reduction, image stabilization in your lens and camera. We activate the exposure delay, so when you press the shutter, it will stay around a second or 2 seconds as much as you adjust it, and then you will get a vibration-free shot. And also using a remote shutter is a must for such stage. ISO is the lowest, as we saw a while ago. My camera was set to 100 plus, depending on the camera, and the auto ISO is off, of course. Aperture, we are between 5.6 and f8, which is the sweet spot of most of the lenses. As we talk, while the exposure and the sun is moving throughout the phases, the exposure might be tricky, so you might be improvising with your settings. But if you are using a solar filter, you might just adjust it to one setting and proceed with the shooting. If it's a full eclipse, that's a different story. At the peak part of the full eclipse, you have to remove your filters and shoot the part which is ironically where you can see some of the areas of the sun that is called corona. So that's a very scientific name for the rays and the outer rays and bursts that's coming out of the solar disk. Again, we are running through the precautions. The same information were posted on our media channels and websites. Those are the recommended cameras. I personally use today 3 of those cameras in front of you, the D850, the Nikon Z6, and there is one camera which is not showing in the picture, is the D810A, is shooting the time-lapse. Particularly, we are using the lens in the middle, which is a 600 mm, and the other camera is using the 200-500 and the solar filter. This is a presentation, a very nice presentation of how the focal length will look like in terms of framing for the solar disk. So you can see different focal length, how the apparent size of the solar disk compared to your sensor. Tripod, trackers, batteries, shutter release, intervalometer, all of such aspects of planning and equipment. And the location, we urge everybody to stay safe. If you have an opportunity to shoot it from your terrace or balcony, it will be good, so you can keep yourself safe. And there are lots of applications that can give you a proper forecast about the weather. We are lucky today that the weather is helpful. We didn't face any kind of clouds that blocked our view. Ironically, last year or 2 years ago, there was a very major eclipse happening in America, in the United States of America. It's a total eclipse, and in some states they have witnessed heavy clouds and they were totally blocked from viewing such eclipse. So today we are lucky here in UAE to witness it without any kind of clouds. A bit of humidity, but it didn't do any harm. And as you can, as we're speaking, we are seeing the preferable applications and apps that you can easily install on your Windows and your iPhone or your Android devices and help you plan a better shoot and session and help you with your photography. So I hope you guys enjoying this, and I hope the knowledge is helpful for everybody, and you can still improvise and do such shooting even during non-eclipse. You can get creative with shooting the solar disk or the lunar disk with any of a landmark or a nature aspects that will look fine in your image. So I hope you have enjoyed the show today, and we are close to winding up this session. We will leave you with some clips, and we will back to you soon. And if there is any kind of questions, I'll be glad to answer. We will be ending the session soon, in 10 minutes time. So I'll be ready to answer any questions. So please guys, post your questions and we will be happy to respond to. All right guys, so we are close to ending this session. So we are very, very excited and happy about such event. I'm really very excited, and sometimes I cannot find proper words to describe the greatness of such event, and being able to capture such moments with your tools and cameras is why we are into photography. Sometimes freezing those moments will stay with you forever, and that's why I'm into photography. We deliver messages, we deliver speeches in international language that can be understood by everybody, and above all we enjoy our time, and we just try to get stress-free, relax, and charge our batteries and go back to our families and our work with fully charged batteries after enjoying ourselves in photography. So this session was really great. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And there will be inshallah more sessions with Manarat Saadiyat and Nikon Middle East, and there will be lots of knowledge shared. So stay tuned to those channels and to my channel, Samy Olabi, and you will gain lots of knowledge and excitement. I have one more question in a bit different way. We will answer that question, and then we will wind up and close this session, and hopefully we will see successful and beautiful shots. So the last question is regarding the ND filters, but specifically shooting the sun in winter than summer. When we are talking about the sun, it's basically the same. In winter and the summer, the damage or the strength or the exposure is almost the same. The only difference that maybe in winter the temperature is a bit less than the summer, so the overall heat of the equipment is different. And the other thing, the summer itself, maybe the brightness of the sun will look more strong because of the heat. There is difference, of course, in the sun rays falling off the earth between the winter and the summer, and we will be surprised to know that during the winter, actually, the sun is or the earth is closer to the sun, but during the summer the rays are more concentrated on a wider concentration, and that's why we feel more heat during the summer. But in both cases, personally, I can see that it will not affect the usage of the ND filters. It's just the overall environment and vibes. So, of course, the best season to shoot is in the winter because of the better lighting, the clouds formation, the greener areas, and all of those aspects. In terms of astrophotography, summer and winter, each is having different targets in the sky, and this is a different topic. But during the daylight, we are talking about shooting in the winter is preferable. So I hope my words have answered this question, and I hope you enjoyed the session. And we will wind up, we will get our equipment packed, and we will go back homes and have some good sleep. And I hope you enjoy your day. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh with Samy, Olabi, Manarat, Saadiyat, and Nikon.